Hello and welcome to an honest walkthrough and review of Sonixinema's Intimate Legato bundle. Within this bundle we'll be looking at the Intimate Legato Cello and the Intimate Legato Violin. The bundle price is £103. I think they're currently on sale as well. These are normally £55 each, which is not bad. This is just a legato patch instrument. You're not getting pizzicato, collegno, staccatos, but you can play some fast legato patches with this. You are getting 4 mic positions. There's like 35 different snapshots, everything from slow legatos to fast legatos and everything in between. Beautiful instruments. I've got an affiliate link in the description and a discount code as well if you want to purchase this. But let's jump straight into the instrument and let the samples speak for themselves. But first, a slight overview of the instrument, some little niggles that I have with it, and I guess, an overview. Now, yes, you've got all this bit on the right hand side. This is a low pass filter tape. You can degrade the sound as well. There's a chorus, delay and reverb. Generally I don't touch this. I really want an organic rich sound, and so I stay away from that. If anything, I turn the reverb off. Now we do have our mic positions back here. If you don't want to mess with those too much, you can use this proximity knob as well, but that is on the home page right there. We have a detune if that's something you're going for as well as our expression. You can turn the legato off, wouldn't recommend it, but these 2 settings are kind of the main things we're going to be using, I guess. There's intensity and speed. Now I find when the speed is on the lower side, yes, that's for your slower passages of legatos, but I almost find there's a bit of latency, especially if you slightly want to speed up. I guess you could just MIDI CC that. But even with the fast, sometimes a little niggle I find is between you hitting the note and hearing the note, there can be a little bit of latency, especially when you stack it up with other orchestral instruments. And so I find I'm moving the MIDI a little bit back or messing with it a little bit more just to get it right on the beat. Otherwise it sounds a little bit off. Now you do have multiple snapshots, which is nice, some sustains, which I stay away from personally. It's the legatos. It's the reason why you buy this is for the legato. But you have a close, slow, close, fast, mid-slow, mid-fast, far, slow, far, fast. So if you really don't want to mess with the mic positions, you've got these lovely presets. Difference between slow and fast, basically how fast are you going to be playing? Again, with the slow one, there is a little bit more latency, but that's because it's more portamento, it's more drawn out. You get these beautiful long legatos, while the fast one, you're going for those faster Paganini sort of patches, or I say patches, playing style. Very, very similar setup with the violin, but let's go through this and have a little play. There's also, I should add onto the mic position, they have their own mix, which I personally really like and almost use as default because it is quite beautiful. But we'll mess with the different mic positions, we'll mess with that as we go through. But let's just play this out the box with the legato, close, slow. Now, one knob I failed to mention, I say knob, key switch button down at the bottom, this red thing you're seeing on the screen, this is for rebowing. which I really love, and I wish more legato patches or instruments or companies would do this, because for say I press this note and then I want it to rebow, it just adds a whole other element and some more realism to your legato line. Absolutely love that. Now let's go for a bit more of a mid mix. And you might have noticed that if you're listening and watching my hands, you might have noticed a little bit of latency between what you're hearing and what you're seeing. And that is simply just the sample library, as I was kind of saying earlier. Let's try the fast one now. As you can see here, the speed has gone right up and the intensity a little bit down. We will change that mix as well and turn the reverb off. Maybe not the most beautiful demo you've ever heard, but I really wanted to demonstrate the speed of this. Now, you might have heard some little hiccups in there. That's simply because I didn't press the other note fast enough. Simply, if you do this, doesn't sound very good. You almost want to be pressing the next note before you let go of the previous one. So you have that clean transition. Otherwise, if you're playing it a little bit more staccato, you can kind of get away with it, but even there you heard, it just sounds off, doesn't sound quite right, that little break in between. You really do need to be playing legato, making sure your MIDI is lining up or slightly overlapped. Now, sadly, you can't control the vibrato. I really wish you could, or at least have it on or off. That would have just added a whole other element to this library. But when we put the price in mind, it's actually not that expensive for what you're getting. You are getting an absolutely beautiful legato. I know it's £55, but compare it to what else is on the market. And yeah, the only really comparison I can think of which would be within this price range is stuff by Sound Iron. You can get the whole string collection, and they do have some really good legatos. Not as good as this, but definitely convincing for around a similar price, actually, in their micro. But even there, they're not true legato, and to get the true legatos, you'll be paying £100. I'll leave links to those products in the description as well. But that's this. There are other stuff and other presets. Let's look at one I actually really enjoy, the Legato Huge Space. You get some really beautiful sounds out of this, but I think that's just because it's drenched in reverb. See what I mean? Absolutely gorgeous. And I do feel because that speed is slightly on the lower side, it's more forgiving. If you do have it higher up, it does expect you to be. It does expect you to be playing faster. While if you really do want to give this a good go and practice, you'll get better, I guess, results, but the latency would definitely increase by quite a bit, as you probably saw there. I'm hitting that note and you've barely even heard that note, but still absolutely beautiful, absolutely gorgeous sound, very, very realistic and very easy to get a beautiful sound out of it. Let's now move on to the violin. Now personally, I do prefer the cello, and if I was to recommend one out of these two for you, I would recommend the cello personally, but it would be rude of me not to show you the legato, intimate legato violin as well. Very similar setup, if not identical, just with the different instrument. We have our fast, our slows, different mic positions, all the stuff over there, and behind the door we do have an envelope as well if you want to mess with that. Mic position wise, I'm going to go straight off and use their mix that's separate to the 4 mic positions and just solo that because I really do like it. And we'll go for, yeah, something slow and something fun. I cannot emphasize enough how much I love this button, this note, the fact that I can rebow it. The amount of times I do violin legatos or cello legatos where you have a repeated note and you just want to rebow it, and instead you're kind of messing around, or shall I put a marcato articulation there instead, just because you just want a rebow, you want that note repeated, but you struggle to fit it in with the legato. That is honestly the deal breaker for me for this library, is that the fact that you can do that rebowing. It just adds so much realism and makes making the legato so much easier, more user-friendly, personally. Let's try something a little bit faster, far and fast, and I believe that will. Oh no, it won't. So yeah, it does. It messes and resets everything else as well. Okay, let's have a play with this. I'm going to try and keep the mistakes in this video as well to give a realistic take on this. I hate the videos where they cut out all the rubbish and just show you the gems. I like to be genuine and upfront and say, yeah, I'm just a Joe Blog composer. I'm your everyday sort of guy. And I hope that if you do purchase this or any library that I do review, you do see it in action, in the reality of it, with the mistakes and with that, oh, didn't quite play that right, definitely doesn't sound quite right because I missed that note slightly. Especially with this library, I'm really finding that it's easy to make it sound good, but one little slip and boom, it sounds awful. But let's try one more setting. I'll show you a sustain just because they do have them. I don't like them. It's when they turn the legato off. It's like, what's the point in buying a legato patch if you're not going to use it as a legato? And there's way too much vibrato on it for it really to be used in chords. Yeah, it just doesn't sound right. Why would you? I don't like the sustains at all. Love the legato. Absolutely sold on it. It's definitely going to be one of my go-to legatos, especially for solo instruments. The Vib is my only concern with this. If they had a Vib knob controller, I'd definitely be using it wholeheartedly, but I'm in two minds because of the Vib, but this is really what has sold it for me. And again, you can change that where you have that if you want as well. But overall, some beautiful legatos, definitely an option out there. There are other options, but at this price range, it's pretty good. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.